Hello and welcome to Camping Corner. Today we're going to talk about a lot. We're going to talk about the Winter Stakes, the Holy Bull Stakes, and briefly the Robert B. Lewis Stakes, although the last one isn't the best betting race. So we'll try to get through this quickly. I know 3 races is a lot, and I don't want to make this video too long. Let's get going with the Winter Stakes. In the Winter Stakes, we start off with Captain Cook, who broke his maiden on this course by 9 1/4 of a length on December 28 on the slop, but I don't think fast dirt will bother him either. In his career debut, which was on fast dirt, he was 6th by 4 lengths, but he had a bad trip that day, and I don't see any reason why he wouldn't handle fast dirt at this point. My problem is, I think he'll be overbet. With Dutro training him, Dutro is 32% on this track, but I think the fact that he's 32% will stand out, and people will see that, and they'll see the 9-length maiden win, and they'll want to bet him. And I'm hesitant to take him. Last week I took a maiden winner who was unproven, Patch Adams, and I think that taking inexperienced horses like this is always a risk. I'm going to say he's in my top 3, but I'm not going to pick him on top. Now we come to Omaha, who won an optional claimer at Laurel Park by 7 lengths, and then he was second in the Jerome Stakes. I think this colt wants more distance, especially based on how he won a mile and 1/16 race by 7 lengths. It was his best win, well, out of 2 wins. It was his best win, and then he was second, closing strongly in the Jerome. Well, let's take a look at the Jerome effort. At this point, Omaha is in 5th. He's swinging to the outside. Look how far ahead Cyclone State is. It seems like Cyclone State is going to win by 10 lengths or even more. And Omaha is moving along, and he's going to pass these 2 horses for second. And it still seems like he's going to be far back, but towards the last few moments of the race, he closes the gap. You can see that he closes the gap to 3.5 lengths, was it? And I think it was a good effort. I think the fact that he was moving strongly towards the end means he wants more distance. Not every horse who closes strongly wants more distance. I think in this case, Omaha does want more distance. And based on his pedigree, I think he's supposed to be a router. Kitten's Joy is the dam sire, and that usually means a router. And the dam, England Swings, is a full sister to Big Blue Kitten. Who's Big Blue Kitten? Well, he was a turf stakes router about, 10 years ago? And he won the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic back in 2015. And he won the United Nations Stakes that same year. He competed in just about every important turf stakes race out there, so he was a turf router. And I think that the public might ignore him because he doesn't have a big name trainer, and he lost his last race even though he was closing strongly towards the end. And I'm going to pick him on top. I think there'll be value in Omaha. Let's talk about a couple more horses, although we have to get to other races, so we'll go through this quickly. Mo Quality was my pick in the Smarty Jones Stakes at Oaklawn, but I felt he disappointed. He was second by 4 lengths. I know that Cold Battle is a good horse, but I felt like Mo Quality could have closed more strongly. Maybe he'll find these horses easier. I know that Aqueduct is an easier path to the Kentucky Derby. We'll see, but I'll just say he's an underneath horse. Uncle Jim is trained by Brad Cox, so maybe the public will like him off the bat because Cox trains him. He was 3rd in a local optional claimer on December 6th, and he was chasing Cyclone State that day, so maybe I shouldn't be too harsh. As we saw, Cyclone State went on to win the Jerome Stakes. And I think that Uncle Jim still has some upside to him, and he has speed. Maybe he can go to the lead in this spot. But I don't know if he's good enough to win. I'll say he's an underneath horse. And lastly, I want to talk about Global Steve, who broke his maiden at Parks. And this trader sometimes comes up with good horses from Parks, so I don't want to completely discount him. He won his maiden race by 6.5 lengths, and then he won a stakes race, the Future Stars Stakes, I guess, at Parks. I don't want to discount him completely because his trainer is a good trainer, but I'm not going to pick him. I just wanted to point him out. Omaha is my pick in this race, and we'll say that Captain Cook is the second choice, although if you want to go for value in the second slot, there's Mo Quality, there's Uncle Jim, or even Global Steve. So there's plenty of choices for underneath value. We'll move on to the Holy Bull Stakes. In the Holy Bull Stakes, we start off with Ferocious, who was in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He was only 5th in that race, but he had a bad trip. Let's take a look at the effort. I don't want to be too harsh on Ferocious's effort in the Breeders' Cup because look at how much traffic is ahead of him. He's towards the back in the white silks. You can barely see him because of all the traffic. And the jockey is working on Ferocious. He is moving through some horses. And you can see him on the inside briefly, but now the camera's panning over to Citizen Bull. Ferocious is going to finish 5th in the race. And it was an okay effort given the traffic he was behind. I don't want to be too harsh and say he just wasn't that good. You can see that he has competed in 3 Grade 1 races in a row. Most of these horses in the Holy Bull don't have stakes experience. I worry that he's not prepped for this race. You see that he has the December 28 workout, and then there's a gap there to January 16, and then there's the January 24 work. So there's a gap between December 28 and January 16 where they could have fit one more work in, and they didn't. And I just wonder if he's ready for this race off 3 works. I have my doubts that he's fully tuned up, and I don't know if he's the right value either. Let's move on. I'm going to try to beat Ferocious with Burnham Square. Burnham Square broke his maiden on this course by 9 lengths on December 28, and before that, he lost his other 2 races by less than a length. And I like the fact that he showed speed on December 28. They put the blinkers on him, and he showed speed for the first time, and then he came up with that big win. And it's usually a good sign when a horse shows speed for the first time and suddenly shows improvement. And we can take a look at that maiden win. I like the fact that Burnham Square is being chased by a Pletcher horse called Only in America, who I believe was an expensive colt. Well, most Pletcher colts are expensive, and Burnham Square is going to turn him away. I know he doesn't have the stakes experience, but still, I'm going to take a chance on him because I think the public is not going to bet him, or they're not going to bet him as heavily as Ferocious. So I'm going to pick Burnham Square on top. I like the improvement that he showed last time. I like his speed. I don't think he needs the lead, but I think he could use his speed to be sitting off the leader if another horse wants to lead. Burnham Square is my choice in this race. Let's talk about a couple more horses quickly. Guns Loaded deserves some respect for winning a stakes race on this course, the Mucho Macho Man Stakes. He only won by a neck, but he did beat 2 Chad Brown trained horses in Treaty of Rome and Septarian, and so I think that's something to note. And I know that the Mucho Macho Man Stakes isn't the strongest race, but a lot of these horses don't have stakes experience except for Ferocious. I think the fact that Guns Loaded has 1 stakes race on his record is something on his side if you're going to try to make a case for him. I think he could hold on for a piece. I know that Burnham Square will be right on him from the start, but maybe the pace won't be too fast. We'll see. Right next to Guns Loaded is Tap End Street, and Tap End Street has some tactical speed. He also won on December 28 on this course, but he won a 7 furlong race. He was only a length off the leader in the initial stages, and then he took over in the stretch run to win that race, and he was closing strongly, of course. And I don't think the extra distance will bother him. I think that the pedigree is on his side. Virginia Key is a half-sister to Pyrenees, I believe. Pyrenees was a stakes router not too long ago, I believe last year. And so I think Tappan Street will handle the mile 1/16. He's drawn well in post 3, and Lewis Hayes stays aboard, so I think there are plenty of good signs here. I also want to talk about one more horse called Burning Glory. Now, Burning Glory broke his maiden at Churchill Downs on December 1, and he made an early move into a fast pace in that race, and then he won by a neck. The runner-up didn't return to run well, but I don't know, maybe he could improve off that race. Bill Mott trains him. John Mott is the owner, so there are some big names behind this colt. And he's just going to miss my top 4, but he's a horse I wanted to talk about because he does have a chance to get a piece. Burnham Square is my choice in the Holy Bull Stakes. I'm going to try to beat Ferocious for second. Taphead Square is one to use, and Guns Loaded is the other one. And I'll think about Burning Glory. Maybe if Burning Glory has high enough odds, maybe I'll think about throwing him in. I think that Ferocious is going to be short in this race. I don't think they're going to tune him up for the first start of the year if they're going to aim at the Kentucky Derby. So Burnham Square is my choice. I think he'll offer some value. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's move on to the Robert B. Lewis at Santa Anita. I don't want to spend too much time on the Robert B. Lewis Stakes because Bob Baffert trains 3 of these horses, And there are only 5 horses in the field, so he has 3/5 of the field. And these 3 entries trained by Baffert have the same owners as well, so this is a very tricky situation for handicappers. I would say go with the proven horse, Citizen Bull, who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. We've watched the race a couple times already, so I don't know if I want to show it again. But Citizen Bull was pretty impressive in that race, although he had the lead the entire time. My only worry is that the Ward entry in this race, the Wesley Ward entry, Clock Tower, might provide some pressure for Citizen Bull because this is a speed horse. But I don't know, maybe Citizen Bull can handle it. I don't think the pace will be too fast. Clock Tower could provide some pressure, but I still think that Citizen Bull will win the race. I don't think it's a race to bet at all, though. I think this is one to watch, especially with 3 Bob Baffert train entries with all the same owners. It's a tricky situation for handicappers, and I think it's just a race to watch and take notes for next time. Anyways, thank you for watching my analysis of the Winter Stakes and the Holy Bull Stakes and the Robert B. Lewis Stakes. Hopefully I will come back soon with another video about the Derby Trail.